Hello everyone. So this is a conversation with my friend and colleague. He's a top structural engineer. He is an expert in offshore structures, and oftentimes I have discussions with him about spirituality and science. And you can imagine this friend of mine who is shooting this video is such a high flying structural expert who designs complex offshore structures which are subjected to all kinds of forces in the harsh environment in the ocean. So this person did not have much experience of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Mahapuran and the spiritual science, but now he is so gung-ho about all these. So I'm going to have a chat with him, and this will become our theme for the Formula 44 meditation for this week. So what we do, all of us who are practicing Formula 44, we want to implement all the 8 elements. We want to eat 1 fistful of nuts and fruits and dry fruits. We want to eat 2 helpings of fruits. We want to take 3 glasses of warm water early in the morning when we get up, slowly. And we have our lunch and dinner, which is rich in grains, vegetables, salads, cereals, lentils, pulses. And then we do the 4 types of exercises, which includes 1 round of meditation, 2 rounds of walking, 3 rounds of pranayam breathing technique, and 4 rounds of sun salutation. So this is our regular routine now. But what we keep saying, is it what we see in the material world, all that we have, or is there something deeper? What is stated in the scriptures, what is stated in Bhagavad Gita, what is stated in Bhagavad Mahapuran. And this is something which has fascinated me, and now it is fascinating this colleague of mine who wanted to know why the Bhakti Marg is the best. Bhakti Marg means the path of devotion, where you accept that beyond this material world there is a spiritual realm, there is a controller, there is a creator, there is a sustainer who is the cause of all the causes. And I oftentimes talk about our own life experience. We are born into this world. We did not have the control about our birth, where we will be born, in which family we will be born. It all happened naturally. It all happened without our involvement, so to say. So these are not in our control. So now that we know we are born and we have a father and he has a father, and the father's father also has a father and a grandfather, so it is very natural to ask, when did this chain start? And when we keep going back, we find that the science cannot answer this question, that how long did this chain last, or how long this chain has been continuing, what was the origin. And all efforts in speculating about Big Bang theory and the theory of evolution by Charles Darwin doesn't seem to satisfy us at all. So when I study Bhagavad Gita, I get a very fascinating answer, which is so convincing, which is so logical. Although some people may call it not so, but since our theme for the meditation is Bhagavad Gita, so to answer the question, why is the devotional path, Bhakti Marg, the way to achieve the highest goal of our human life. So there are 5 terms which are used to prove this point, that Bhakti Marg, the path of devotion, is the only path. Every other path is incomplete and it does not take us to the highest goal, the highest objective, the highest destination. And what is the meaning of God realization when we achieve the highest? The meaning of God realization is we become liberated, we become free. We are not affected by the external factors. We are always in a state of bliss. The defects of the material living, which is the anger, greed, lust, jealousy, fear, frustration, etc., they don't bother us at all. So when do we achieve that state where we are completely free, completely liberated, basking in absolute bliss and peace? That is the state which is spoken about in the scriptures, and this is what we are discussing now, that Bhakti Marg will take us there. And other marg or the other paths, they take us to a great point, but that is not the highest. So still there is so much more to achieve. But the path of devotion, where the concept is that we surrender completely to the will of God, we are completely in the acceptance of that Supreme Personality or the Supreme Entity. And that Supreme Entity, when the acknowledgement of our faith and devotion is complete, gives us everything that we need or that we may need. So the 5 factors are Anvay, Gatirek, Nirapekshata, Sadatanatvam, and Sarvatrakita. Let us go one by one. Anvay. So first of all, these 5 criteria which I spoke about, and thanks to Swami Mukundanandji, who introduced us to Sri Maharajji, who has unleashed all this amazing knowledge. He writes in Radha Govind Gita about these 5 factors, that Bhakti Marg, the path of devotion, can be tested on these 5 criteria which are used for testing the efficacy of a method. So the method here is the path of devotion, Bhakti Marg, and the 5 criteria are Anvay, Gatirek, Sadatanatvam, Nirpekshata, Sarvatrakita. So Anvay means by Bhakti Marg alone you can achieve the goal. There is no other way to achieve the goal. So that is the first criteria which Bhakti fulfills. Or let us put it this way, by following the path of devotion you can achieve the goal of the highest realization. So that means the first criteria is met. The second criteria is by no other method other than Bhakti Marg you can achieve the highest goal. So that criteria is also met because every other method is limited and it doesn't take us to the highest. The third criteria, Nirapekshata, is that the path of devotion does not require any other support. For example, if we are following Gyan Marg, then there are criteria. To follow Gyan Marg, we have to become austere, we have to have certain practices, we need to have control over our senses, etc. So that means there is a precondition. But for bhakti, there is no precondition, everyone is eligible. And the fourth criteria is the Sarvatrakita means it is available to everyone. The path of devotion is applicable and is available to all individuals. There is no distinction. So this is another very important factor. And the last one is Sadatanatvam, that it is everlasting. It is not that when you achieve the highest, then it ceases. It remains forever. So what is Bhakti Marg? Bhakti Marg is to just surrender our mind and intellect to that highest supreme goal, which is what Sri Krishna is telling in the Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma shucha. That if you surrender to me, then you don't need to worry about any other methods, any other dharma. Everything is taken care of. It is like watering the root of the plant. Now this should not be interpreted as if Bhakti Marg means we don't do nothing at all. That is not the meaning. The meaning is about the awareness that there is a supreme entity which is the controller of all what is happening in the material realm, and we are at our best when we remember this. So this is just about being aware. It is not about ceasing to do activities. It is about doing everything in accordance with the will of the Lord. So the bhakta, the devotee, is a very active person. He does everything, but his doing is different than the material doing, in the sense that the materialist is worried about the outcome, is constantly thinking about the results, whereas the devotee is doing the same work, the same excitement he has about the work, but he is not worried, he is not thinking about the fruits of the results. So that is a little knowledge about Bhakti Marg and the 5 factors, the 5 criteria which prove that Bhakti Marg is the only method to achieve the highest. And what is the achievement of the highest? When we are in a state of complete bliss, we don't have stress, we are not disturbed, we can take all the ups and downs in life, where we don't have the fear of death, we are not frustrated, we are doing our best, we are winners in all spheres of life. And that is why the glories of Bhakti Marg. That's the talk for today's meditation in Formula 44. Take care and see you again in the next video.